When a pet dies, where do they go? It's a question that silently echoes in the depths of the human heart, like the whisper of an ancient mystery, engraved in the unspoken pages of the soul. Do you remember the look in your dog's eyes as he waited for you at the door, or the soft purring of your cat as night fell? Those weren't just instincts, they were bonds, real bonds, sacred, almost human. And then, when that small life fades, what happens? Does the spark vanish forever? Or is there a divine plan hidden between the lines of creation for these creatures who loved us so deeply? The Bible, despite its seemingly clear surface, is a book full of layers, codes, and hidden visions. Not everything is explicit. Some truths dwell in the margins, between the lines, in the echoes of apocryphal texts, in the secrets of the Book of Enoch, in the murmurs of mystical Jewish tradition. And it is in this sacred silence that we will venture today. This video is not just an answer. It is a journey that will take us through the canonical scriptures, the forgotten scrolls of the Ethiopian Bible, the teachings of the Kabbalah, and the whispers of the patriarchs. We will discover what truly happens when animals die. Do they have souls? Do they reincarnate? Do they wait for us on the other side? Or is there something even more astonishing behind the veil? Get ready to open a door that may never close again. What we are about to explore is not just theology. It is comfort, it is mystery, it is revelation. When an animal's life comes to an end, could heaven open for them too? Long before modern systematic theologies, even before Rome established canons and councils, there was an older spirituality, a faith that looked up at the starry sky and saw messages. It was the time of the patriarchs, the prophets, the dreamers, and in that ancient world, animals were not just creatures, they were signs. They were companions, messengers, and sometimes even participants in sacred narratives. In the Garden of Eden, for instance, Adam was not placed among the animals as a mere superior. He was given the divine task of naming them, and, in ancient Hebrew thought, to name something is to recognize its essence, to declare its spiritual identity. This gives us a powerful clue. Animals were not objects, but beings endowed with purpose, not just biological, but spiritual. In the text of Numbers 22, we see Balaam's donkey, who not only sees the angel that the blind prophet cannot see, but speaks, warns, and saves. An animal that perceives the invisible. Is this merely a metaphor, or are we witnessing a glimpse of something much deeper? A spiritual awareness, perhaps? A soul? Ancient Jewish tradition, especially in sources like the Talmud and Midrashic commentaries, recognize this. Animals were considered part of the divine plan in a much more intimate way than we often imagine today. Not just passing creatures, but part of a living, pulsing creation destined for redemption. Some ancient rabbis even claimed that animals have a portion in the Messianic age, the time when all creation will be restored. And then comes the Book of Enoch, a text revered in ancient Jewish communities and still honored in the Tarsus Ethiopian church to this day. There, animals are protagonists in prophetic visions. They represent nations, spiritual forces, and sometimes even the righteous. It is one of the most enigmatic books ever written, and in it, animals appear to participate in a parallel spiritual reality, like conscious pieces within a cosmic mechanism. In this part of the journey, we begin to see something. Animals, according to ancient traditions, are not merely shadows. They have a role, they have a presence, and perhaps, just perhaps, they have a destiny. Imagine the following. In a time before time, when the universe was still being stitched together by the very fingers of the Creator, there was a moment of silence. In that silence, It was not man who first broke the stillness, but the sounds of animals pulsing life into the meadows of Eden. Before sin, before the fall, there was harmony. And in that harmony, man and animal coexisted not as master and servant, but as companions in a world without death. That is why, when the fall occurs, it is not only man who is affected. Romans 8 reveals something profound. Creation groans, waiting for redemption. And the word creation in the original, Greek katasis, involves everything that breathes, everything that lives. The groaning of creation includes the animals. They too were struck by the tragedy of Eden. But why? Because they too were bound to the human destiny. They were not separate. They were with us. In Jewish Kabbalah, there is a powerful idea. Every creature has a nefesh, a type of vital soul. Humans possess higher levels, like neshama and ruach, but animals also carry a divine spark. The nefesh is what animates, what gives life, what connects flesh to the original breath of God. And if that spark came from the Creator himself, can it truly disappear? In Ecclesiastes 3:19-21, the author asks, "What happens to the spirit of man, which rises upward, and the spirit of the animal, which goes down into the earth?" It's not a statement, but a provocation, a question left open, perhaps on purpose. The Bible here seems to invite us to wonder, is the separation between the spirit of man and animal truly so clear? Now go back to the flood. When God decides to purify the earth, he commands Noah to save not just humans, but pairs of animals. Why? Because they matter. Because the covenant is not only with man, but with all flesh. And after the flood, God promises, "Never again will I destroy all flesh." Once again, the term is inclusive. Animals are part of the covenant. But the most symbolic moment is yet to come. In Isaiah 11, in the famous prophecy of the Messianic kingdom, we see a wolf living with the lamb, the lion eating straw like the ox. It is not just a peaceful scene, it is a return to the order of Eden. And who is there? Animals. Not as ornaments, but as part of the new creation. They too are restored. They too dwell in the new heaven and new earth. The early church, especially in the Eastern and Ethiopian branches, never viewed animals as mere soulless bodies. In ancient icons, Christ is often depicted surrounded by animals, not just as creator, but as redeemer of all creation. This connects directly with Colossians 1:20, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven. And there are stories. Oh, there are stories. It is said of Saint Francis of Assisi that he preached to birds and conversed with wolves. He wasn't insane. He saw something we've forgotten, that creation listens. That maybe, at some spiritual level, animals grasp something that humans no longer understand. And who knows, when their eyes close for the last time here, they may open again, on the other side, where the fields are eternal, where pain no longer exists, and where perhaps they are waiting for us. By what we've seen so far is more than theology. It's a tapestry of sacred ideas woven through the ages. The image that emerges is surprising. Animals, in the oldest and deepest biblical vision, are not disposable. They are participants in creation, the fall, and also the redemption. The key word that ties all of this together is nefesh, the vital soul. Animals possess it according to Genesis and rabbinic commentaries. And the idea of a soul, even at different levels, implies continuity, not cessation. In Hebrew thought, death is not the end, it is a transition. So why would it be different for animals? The Book of Enoch reinforces this mystery. There, animals appear as spiritual symbols, but not merely symbolic. They have agency, a role in the visions, and are included in judgments and restorations. And as we've seen, even the major prophets, like Isaiah, include them in their eschatological visions. In Kabbalah, the divine spark is not limited to man. It is in everything that has life. Every being carries a reflection of the primordial light, even the smallest of animals. To release this spark is, for the Kabbalists, an act of redemption. And finally, there is the silent testimony of creation, the eyes of a dog looking at us with trust, or the song of a bird at dawn. These moments say something that words cannot express, that there is a language of the soul between us, and if there is soul, there is destiny. And so, at the end of this journey through forgotten scrolls, prophetic visions, and echoes of a creation that still groans, a truth begins to emerge, subtle yet powerful. Animals are not mere extras in the drama of existence. They are silent witnesses to the love, pain, and beauty of the world. And more than that, they are carriers of a spark of the divine. They share with us the breath of life, the same primordial breath that came from the mouth of the Creator at the beginning of all things. The Bible may not give a direct answer, but the margins speak. The ancient traditions, the wisdom of the Apocrypha, the accounts of saints, the symbols of the prophets, all point toward a mystery, that perhaps heaven is larger than we imagine. That perhaps in the coming kingdom, the lion and the lamb are not just figures of speech, but living memories of the promise that all shall be restored. And if God is, in fact, love, a perfect, deep, eternal love, then that love would not leave anything true behind. And the love you shared with your pet, that love was real, and everything that is real in God is never lost. So the next time you remember that four-legged friend, imagine, perhaps in a field beyond time, they are running again, waiting, catching your scent in the eternal wind. And when the final gate opens, who knows if it won't be them who runs to you first, because heaven may be more familiar than we think.